I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids.
So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA?
She's the face of a new era, a record breaker, a once-in-a-generation talent. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA, she ignited it. But imagine this, what if she walked away today? What if the league's brightest star said, "I'm done"? The fallout would be massive, the backlash intense, and the loss unimaginable. This isn't just about basketball. It's about the momentum, the spotlight, and the future of women's sports. Let's break down just how ugly things could get if Caitlin Clark quit the WNBA right now. The fallout, WNBA's ratings would tank. Let's be real, Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she brought the eyes with her. From packed arenas to record-breaking viewership, Clark's transition from NCAA to WNBA sparked a cultural moment. If she were to quit today, the WNBA would feel it immediately, and it wouldn't be pretty. We're talking about potential loss of sponsorships, a steep decline in ticket sales, and a dip in TV ratings that networks like ESPN or ABC would absolutely notice. Caitlin's presence is why casual sports fans, even non-basketball fans, are tuning in. She didn't just join the league, she changed its trajectory. Without her, many people would simply change the channel. Let's not forget, Clark was already a household name before she ever played a minute of professional ball. She dragged NCAA women's basketball into the mainstream, and now she's doing the same for the WNBA. Her absence would hit like a gut punch, the kind that shakes a league to its core. Public backlash, fans would erupt. The outrage would be immediate, and it would be loud. Social media would explode. Hashtags like Sancha bring back Clark and so WNBA fail would trend for days. Her loyal fans, and there are millions, would rally behind her, pointing fingers at the league for not protecting its brightest star. Most of her fan base sees the treatment Clark has endured, the cheap shots, the lack of support from some players, the targeted animosity, and they're already fed up. If she left, they'd see it as validation that the league failed her. She's not just an athlete. To her fans, she's a symbol of growth, resilience, and the future of women's basketball. The message would be clear. You had one job. You had Caitlin Clark. And somehow, the league let her walk away. Imagine being the organization that couldn't keep the generational star who gave your brand a heartbeat. That kind of L doesn't go away quietly. The league's image, a PR nightmare. They say perception is everything. And if Caitlin Clark were to quit, the WNBA's image could suffer a blow no amount of rebranding could fix. Right now, Clark is more than just a rising star. She symbolizes hope, unity, and progress. Her decision to walk away, especially if tied to mistreatment, lack of support, or a toxic culture, would spark a firestorm the league might not be prepared to handle. Conversations would shift from growth to accountability. Internal divisions would come under the spotlight, along with the race narratives and unrealistic expectations unfairly placed on one player's shoulders. It would also raise a bigger, more damaging question. Can the WNBA actually protect and nurture its stars? Because if they couldn't do it with Caitlin Clark, arguably their most marketable talent, how will they manage with the next phenom? Sponsors would hesitate, media outlets would dig deep, former players would speak out, and fans, they'd demand answers. The fallout wouldn't just be a PR issue, it would threaten the league's foundation. Because once the public sees cracks in what was supposed to be a movement, rebuilding trust becomes nearly impossible. And guess what? That's not just bad press, that's bad business. Locker room politics would boil over. Let's talk about the locker room elephant in the room, the tension. There's no denying there have been underlying frictions between Clark and certain veteran players. From on-court fouls that looked more like cheap shots, to post-game comments dripping with passive aggression, it's clear not everyone's rooting for her. If Caitlin were to say, "Enough is enough," and walk away, those tensions would explode. People would start dissecting everything. Who had her back, who didn't, and who maybe let their jealousy turn into hostility. The narrative of "we eat our own" would haunt the WNBA for years. Fans aren't stupid, they see what's going on, the vibe, the slights, the coded interviews, and if it pushed Clark out of the league, those issues would come to the surface like oil in boiling water. Teammates would get asked the tough questions, so would coaches, execs, even rival players. Everyone would have to pick a side. And when that happens, it gets ugly, fast. Missed legacy moments, a loss for women's sports. Caitlin Clark is on the path to becoming one of the greatest women's basketball players ever. She's that generational talent that shifts narratives and breaks ceilings. If she quits now, the WNBA doesn't just lose a player, it loses a legacy moment. Imagine not getting to see her hit buzzer beaters in the finals, or watching her battle other young stars like Angel Reese or Aaliyah Boston in classic matchups. Imagine missing out on the merch, the signature shoes, the all-star appearances, the epic playoff runs. That's what we lose if Clark walks away. Iconic moments that inspire the next generation. Girls watching from their living rooms thinking, that could be me one day, would be left wondering what went wrong. That's more than a loss, it's a tragedy for women's sports. A win for the haters, bad precedent, worse vibes. Let's be real, some people would celebrate if Caitlin Clark quit, and that's exactly what makes the idea so devastating. From the moment she hit the spotlight, she's faced criticism, some of it fair, much of it fueled by resentment. Whether it's because of her media buzz, her race, her insane skill, or her ability to connect with fans like few others ever have, Clark has drawn fire from day one. If she walked away now, those critics would claim victory. They'd call it proof that she was never built for this, or that she couldn't handle the pressure. They'd turn her exit into a narrative, not about burnout or toxic culture, but about weakness. And that's the problem. Letting her be pushed out wouldn't just hurt Clark, it would send the worst possible message, that envy wins, that if you shine too brightly you'll get burned, that women's sport still isn't a place where talent is protected and progress is championed. Sports should be about empowerment, not pettiness. If the league doesn't protect players like Clark, stars with the power to elevate the game, then who will? Because when we let the haters win, we all lose. Where would she go, and would it hurt worse? If Clark left the WNBA, she wouldn't vanish. She'd just take her star power somewhere else. Overseas leagues in Italy, Turkey, or even China would be offering blank checks to bring her in. And guess what? They'd treat her like royalty. And don't even rule out other sports ventures. She's already got crossover appeal. Want a media career? Done. Want to launch a podcast? Become a brand ambassador? Or even join the Olympics in a different role? She could. She's that marketable. But the worst part? Watching her succeed outside of the WNBA would be a constant reminder of what the league lost. Every highlight reel, every endorsement deal, every sold-out arena overseas would be like salt in the wound, and fans would keep asking, what if she stayed? Final thoughts. It should never get this far. Caitlin Clark deserves more than just hype. She deserves respect, protection, and an environment that wants her to thrive. The fact that we can even imagine her quitting today says something about how rocky the situation has gotten. She's not the villain. She's not the problem. She's the gift that women's basketball waited decades for. And now that we have her, we better not mess it up. Letting Clark walk away wouldn't just be a bad look. It'd be an absolute failure, a generational loss. And in a league fighting so hard for mainstream respect, that's the one thing it cannot afford. If Caitlin Clark ever left the WNBA, the league wouldn't just lose a player, it would lose a movement. Her presence has brought in new fans, packed arenas, and boosted ratings like never before. She's more than a rookie, she's a revolution in motion. The backlash would be brutal, the disappointment global, and the message clear. Women's sports still have a long way to go in supporting their biggest stars. But for now, Caitlin's still here, fighting, shining, inspiring. Let's celebrate that. Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the athletes reshaping the game. Until next time, support greatness while it's still here.